Winning Blueprint presents.
In the lab room. Tennessee Titans.
So we're in the lab room doing the lab follow-up for the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans in 2012 went 6-10, and they were a solid football team. I mean, they had stretches this season when they played some solid football, but all in all, your record is exactly what you are. And Bill Parcells said it best. You are what your record says you are. And that's what the Tennessee Titans are, a 6-10 football team. But I don't know about you. I don't know about the Titans organization. I saw this coming. The day they decided that they were going to start Jake Locker at quarterback was the day they decided that they were going to be under 500 this season. And they weren't going to try to make a go of it to make the postseason. I know you're asking yourself, how can you say something like that? How could you feel so confident that Jake Locker was just going to come in and they weren't going to win enough games to even make it to 500? Watching Jake Locker in the preseason, what did you expect to happen? Did you just expect him to just come in and light it up? This quarterback, Jake Locker, had deficiencies coming out of college. This is the one thing I don't want to hear from scouts, from player personnel around the National Football League, people who know football. This is the one thing I don't want to hear about my quarterback. Before I draft him, he struggles throwing the football from the pocket. Isn't that a criteria of the National Football League? Throwing the football from the pocket? Isn't that where about 80% of your work comes from? Inside the confines of the pocket? So when you say to me, hey, he struggles throwing the football from the pocket, what do you mean he struggles throwing the football from the pocket? I said just what I meant. He struggles throwing the football from the pocket. I mean, what else do you want me to say? Are you saying that he can't throw it consistently to a target while standing behind his offensive line? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, how is he a top 15 pick in the NFL draft then? I don't know. And that's the struggle that I have with Jake Locker as a quarterback in the National Football League. You can't tell me before you grab him, hey, he has this one little problem. Everything else is cool. He can run. He's athletic, has a strong arm. He just is a little skittish in the pocket. Other than that, he's good. Wait. Rewind that. What'd you just say? He's just a little skittish in the pocket, but other than that, he's good. Wait. Rewind that one more time. What did you just say? He's just a little skittish in the pocket, but other than that, he's good. You can't be skittish in the pocket. It's not like outside of the pocket where we can choose to put you outside of the pocket if we like. And even when you get out of danger, how often are you throwing from outside of the pocket in a game? Not often. It doesn't have to be, at least. If we game plan it for you to stay in the pocket and your offensive line takes care of business, you don't have to venture out of the pocket. There's games where Tom Brady never leaves the pocket. There's games where Peyton Manning never leaves the pocket because their offensive line takes care of them, and they're not looking to run anywhere. They both have two left feet, and so if it's okay with you, I'd like to stay right here in the pocket and throw the football all day. That's what you're supposed to do in the National Football League. And that's a criteria of being an NFL quarterback, being able to throw the football from the pocket. And Jake Locker actually lacks that criteria. And so he didn't have the prerequisite to be a starter in the National Football League, at least not yet. And that's why I thought that he should have been someone that was waiting. But look, I was very naive and very negligent to think that they were going to allow Jake Locker to sit down for 2 consecutive years. We're in a new day and age in the National Football League where it's almost criminal for you to sit a rookie quarterback down and make him wait. And so they made him wait last year. He ended up coming in toward the tail end of the season when Matthew Hasselbeck got injured. And so he got his feet wet. There were times where you were impressed. Some late game comebacks. They weren't able to win, but he brought his team back, gave them a chance. And so you saw some of the flair. You saw some of the penchant for the dramatic. And you said, hey, maybe they have something here. But there were also times where you said, he should have been able to hit that receiver. That was an errant throw. That was a clean pocket. That was an open target. He just missed. And you say that with Jake Locker too often. He's got to be able to make throws from the pocket. And right now, he's not able to do that consistently. So I didn't think that he was a good option for this team moving forward into the season. And so when they elected to make him their starter, I said, you're looking to win 5, maybe 6 games this season. That's what they did. So for me, in the offseason, one of the biggest issues is, what is Jake Locker? If you watch the Tennessee Titans against the Indianapolis Colts, the first half of that game, you can't play the quarterback position much better than that. Jake Locker was lights out in that game. First half. There's no denying it. You can't play the quarterback position much better than he did in that first half against the Indianapolis Colts. Against the Miami Dolphins, his first game back off of injury, a blowout victory for the Tennessee Titans. I didn't see that one coming. They were on the road. Miami had been playing solid football. Winners of probably their last 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, 4 out of 6, something like that. So I thought Miami was going to really take it to Jake Locker in his first game back from that elbow injury. No, Locker dominated that football game with his legs. Throwing the football, his numbers weren't pretty passing. But with his legs, he controlled that football game. Now, if you can take that first half of Indianapolis and that Miami Dolphins football game and put the two together and get that Jake Locker consistently, you've got yourself an NFL quarterback. And if Jake Locker can find a way to put those two things together, he'll be a phenomenal NFL quarterback. The Titans won't have anything to worry about. My problem is I don't see Jake Locker being able to do those things consistently. You'll get a half of football from Jake Locker that looks like that Indianapolis Colts game. And then the second half will look like that Indianapolis Colts game, day and night. And you can't win like that consistently in this league. You can't be able to just run as a quarterback and not throw in this league. And so Jake Locker needs to put the two together. And the Titans need to figure out, is he the guy that we drafted with a top 15 pick? Is he going to flourish into the quarterback that we all see has the potential to be a really good quarterback in this league? Or is he going to continue to be erratic? Is he going to continue to make mistakes? Is he going to continue to be inconsistent? They need to figure that out because it almost cost Mike Munchak his job this season. There won't be a next season if he doesn't get it. There won't be a next season after 2013 if Mike Munchak and his Tennessee Titans group goes 6-10 again. So he needs to figure it out quick. Is Jake Locker the guy that's going to help me keep my job, or is he going to get me fired? If he's going to get you fired, then you need to find another solution. So that's going to be the biggest question in the offseason for the Tennessee Titans. The maturation of Jake Locker. There's no question as to whether he's a quarterback or not. He's your quarterback moving forward. Now you need him to mature and become a better quarterback. He needs to work on his craft and become a better quarterback because I know that you know that I know that you know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance in this league. And so the Tennessee Titans are only going to go as far as Jake Locker is going to take them. And so he needs to be better if this team is going to be better in 2013. And the reason I say that is because you look at this Titans team as a whole, this defense wasn't that bad. There's a lot of young talent on the defensive side of the football. This team amassed 39 sacks on the season. We're talking close to 40. You're in the top half of the league when you're talking about over 35 sacks. And they were right there, right around 40, and they didn't have a dominant pass rusher. They didn't have one guy that had 13 and a half or 17 sacks. Everyone chipped in, and that's always a good sign that you have a lot of solid players on your team. You look at their defensive line. There's Klug. There's Marks. They just drafted Martin. He had 3 sacks this season. You look at Cameron Wembley. You look at Morgan. There's guys all over the place that can make plays for this defense. And so all of those guys I just named had 2 or 3 or 3.5 sacks. Everyone did their part. Cameron Wembley had about 6 sacks. Everyone did their job to help this team amass sacks and get pressure on opposing QBs. You look at the linebacker position. They got a lot of young stuff at linebacker. Their whole linebacking corps is young and talented. You look at Zach Brown. Mike Mayock had the funniest quote I've probably ever heard in my life when talking about Zach Brown, the outside linebacker from North Carolina that they drafted a season ago. He was a rookie this year, and he played really well. And he said, Zach Brown is a good linebacker. There's only one problem. There's good and there's a bad. The good is this guy is as fast as it gets at the outside linebacker position. He can run sideline to sideline. He can make all the plays on the football field. The bad is he's allergic to contact. How can you be allergic to contact when you're playing football? Pure genius. I love it. Of course, he was over-exaggerating that he's not as physical as you would like him to be as a linebacker. But he did his job in 2012. He amassed, over 4 sacks. He had over 90 tackles. He got it done. And so he can play football in the National Football League. There's always a place in the National Football League for a guy that has a knack of being around the football, making tackles, and oh yeah, he can run like the wind. There's always a place in the league for a guy like that. You look at another young player, Akeem Ayers, in his second season out of UCLA. He had 6 sacks. So he had 6 sacks on one side. On the other side of him, rookie Zach Brown had 5.5 sacks. So we're talking about 11 sacks between 2 linebackers. You'll take it all day. So you got Akeem Ayers causing havoc on one side. You got Zach Brown causing havoc on the other side. You've got Cameron Wembley forcing pressure from the defensive line. You've got Morgan on the other side trying to get pressure. You've got guys that can get to the quarterback. Then in the middle, I think the best of all 3 of those linebackers, the most consistent when he's healthy. He wasn't healthy in 2012. Colin McCarthy. So you've got a young nucleus at linebacker for the Tennessee Titans. You look in the secondary, Alteron Werner, McCourty, Michael Griffin. Young, talented guys. What's not to like about this defense? So you ask yourself, where is the issue? The issue is on offense. To be more specific, the issue is at quarterback. And that's why Jake Locker has to be better for this team to take the next step. This defense, they have to have time to gel. I just named a lot of young pieces. Akeem Ayers, second season. Zach Brown, a rookie. Alteron Werner, second season. These are all young guys. McCourty is probably in his second or third year. Mike Martin, rookie season. Carl Klug, second season. Morgan, third year. They're all young. And so they need time to gel. McCarthy in his second or third season out of Miami. They're all young. And as they continue to grow together, this defense will be better. So you got to think defensively, it's going to come around. Because 39 sacks is 39 sacks. That's a lot of sacks. And if you're getting that from multiple guys, that means that's a consistent number that you can count on year in and year out. If you get 13.5 from one guy, he might have had a great season. There's no telling if he's going to do that again. There's no telling if he's going to remain healthy. So you take his 13 sacks out of the equation, and you had 37 on the season. All of a sudden, now you only have 24 sacks. Now, the guy that stepped in for him when he got injured, maybe he gets 4 sacks. But that only gets you back up to 28. Still not even close to where you were. When you have 8 or 9 different guys with 3.5 sacks to 6 or 6.5 sacks, that's saying something. That means you're getting pressure from a lot of different areas on your football team. And that's what you want. You want consistent pressure from various avenues. D-tackle, defensive end, linebacker, safety. You don't know where it's coming from. That's always a good thing. That's a mark of a good defense. And they're building something on defense in Tennessee. Now, when's the last time the Tennessee Titans have had a respectable, I'm not even asking for a dynamic or even good, just a respectable backup running back? And don't you dare give me Lindale White, because I'm sitting on that fastball. You don't go from being a respectable backup in this league to out of the league. So I don't want to hear Lindale White. When's the last time the Tennessee Titans had a respectable backup running back? Hold your thought. You need a backup running back in Tennessee. Stop with all these subpar backs, these guys that can get you 3 yards. You need someone dynamic that can spell Chris Johnson. You need somebody that's actually good. Darius Raynaud, I thought, could be someone that could have taken a little bit of the pressure and alleviated some of the burden off of Chris Johnson. They just didn't give him the ball enough. He's dynamic in the return game, but I guess they didn't see fit to give him the ball out of the backfield. Fine, whatever. Get a backup running back. This has gone on, just like I said for the Buffalo Bills in their quest to find a number 2 receiver. This has gone on long enough in Tennessee. Chris Johnson gets 247 carries, and the next closest back to him has, 60 carries. And the next leading rusher on your roster is your quarterback, which is fine if your quarterback is a scrambling quarterback that runs all the time. But Jake Locker isn't a scrambling quarterback that runs all the time. Now, he's athletic and he runs all the time, but it's not by design. And that's what I'm saying. If you have a quarterback that runs by design, okay, I get it if he's your second leading rusher. But not when he's a guy that's supposed to be throwing from the pocket and he's athletic enough to escape the pocket when he doesn't like what he sees. You should have a running back that's able to eclipse him, and they don't. They just flat out don't. How about getting a real backup running back in Tennessee? Jared Cook Jr. needs to be re-signed. I think he's one of the best young athletic tight ends in the National Football League. I think the Tennessee Titans flat out don't use him enough. And when you have talented guys like Jared Cook on offense, you should be featuring him as much as possible. Jared Cook should be touching the ball at least 7 times a game, minimum. He's that dynamic at the tight end position. Not many linebackers can keep up. Not many safeties are big enough to front him and stop him from getting the football. And so we're talking about a guy that's an athletic mismatch, and he's not getting the football enough. He makes big plays. Go look at his yards per catch. He didn't get a lot of catches, and I think he should, but he's got a lot of yards, and he gets a lot of yards after the catch. Resign Jared Cook. Simple as that. So this upcoming season, I feel like the Titans don't really have a lot of pressing needs. They've got some areas that they could address along the offensive line, backup running back. How about just getting a playmaker, though? Kenny Britt, when he's not in trouble with the law, when he's not injured, he's a playmaker. Nate Washington seems to be someone that can make plays for this Tennessee Titans offense. But it just seems like something's missing in Tennessee. Like there's a key ingredient that they're not putting in the mix offensively that just makes this offense go. We know Chris Johnson is a playmaker in that backfield. Jared Cook is a playmaker. But I'll tell you what that key ingredient is. Tavon Austin. Why not? Why not draft Tavon Austin if he is there? And I say if he is there at number 10 because I think he's going to absolutely light it up at the combine. teams are going to go back, put on tape, and they're going to say, man, this guy is dynamic. Now, what position does he play? I guess he's classified as a receiver, but I say you play him like Randall Cobb. You just put him everywhere. Backfield, out wide, punts, kickoffs if you like. Why not? This guy is so dynamic. If you're the Titans, why not get someone that's dynamic that can change your offense? Make Jake Locker's job that much easier. Here, Tyvon, take the football. Go. Jake Locker will be better for it. I think it's a great pick. Tavon Austin with that 10th selection seems like a golden opportunity for the Titans to really get a superior athlete on that offense and make them that much more explosive offensively. They need all the help they can get offensively. Why not? You need a backup running back. He can serve as a dual threat out wide and as a backup running back. Why not? I don't know. I'm just talking. They could use another safety. I feel like they're set at corner. I feel like they're set at the linebacker position. I feel like they don't need any more defensive linemen. They've done all they need to do there. So I feel like you can look across that offensive line. There are a few pieces there that you can change here and there. Maybe you draft something on the offensive line. I don't know. But don't pass on athletes. Tavon Austin is a football player, first and foremost. He's an athlete, a supreme athlete. Why not? I don't know. Why not? Titans were only -4 in the turnover ratio. And we've been talking about all these teams on these lab follow-ups, and we're at the 10th team. The Titans have the 10th draft choice. And in this top 10, at least 8 of these teams were double figures in the negative in turnover ratio. And so that lets you know that the Titans weren't that far off. They took care of the football more so than a lot of these teams that were bad. And they forced turnovers to kind of counteract the amount that they were giving away. So they're not that far off. That's why it's important that Jake Locker is better in 2013. This franchise needs stability at the quarterback position and at head coach. And that's why I thought it was important that Mike Munchak not be fired in the offseason. And that's why I think it's important that Jake Locker, if he's your guy, and we see that he is, you stick with him. You can't keep yanking him in and out. That's why I said if you're going to go with him last year, you're going to have to stick with him. You can't do the old switcheroo. You can't put him in, then yank him out, put him in, then yank him out. This isn't college football. This is the NFL. You put him in, you leave him in. He stays in. He makes mistakes, you have to live with them. And so we'll see what the Tennessee Titans do in the offseason. I don't think that they're that far off. That division that they're in, the AFC South, it's not that good. What's to stop the Titans from going 10-6 next year and threatening to make the postseason? The Indianapolis Colts? The Jacksonville Jaguars? Are they supposed to stop the Tennessee Titans from beating them twice? Why? The Titans are good enough to beat both of those teams twice and split with the Houston Texans if they play a good football game. So we'll see what the offseason brings for the Tennessee Titans. And that's going to do it for the Tennessee Titans and their lab follow-up. Join me on Monday when we come back and we talk San Diego Superchargers. And we'll be talking Charger football. We've got a new GM. We've got a new head coach. We've got all kinds of changes out in San Diego. So come back. Join me on Monday when we're talking San Diego Chargers in the lab room on these lab follow-ups. Until then, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football. We'll come back. We'll talk everything on Monday. See you then.
Tennessee Titans.